the sleeping quarters too, and it is a mess because we are under retrofit. And but this is a double berth, and Jeff's going to kind of look around. Something I did want to tell you, Jeff, is that the captain's quarters in the front of behind this wall, I'm going to put a hatch that's going to be an access hatch to this area. But it's going to be smoked, so it'll have privacy.
Right.
But it's going to be so that if I have to come through this way, I can.
Okay.
Okay. And additionally, that could be opened up, and the air from this room could flow into there to cool it off a little bit.
Right.
And that fuel, that diesel fuel, that system's going to change because it's going to go to an Enemy 2000 fuel gauge. You won't have to use that. So that can be somewhat open. I just don't know how much depth you got there.
Which is what, this?
Yeah. I mean, that whole thing could be opened up, and we could put it in there. And that goes into the back of the salon.
Yeah, I see that. And there's a great area for running hoses and whatnot there.
Yeah, you got good access. And in essence, we could run the one in the salon right above that in that starboard forward contain area.
Right. Yeah.
So that we could have a shorter run of hose if putting it. Are we talking about parallel and series?
I think so. I would probably in this boat I would look at 3 runs of hose coming off of the
compressor. Okay.
1 for each hull and 1 for the salon.
Okay.
So the one for the salon I would actually have as a single dedicated run for the salon, because that's the biggest area that collects the most heat.
Okay.
And what I would recommend is we try it with 1 single evaporator first.
Okay.
And if we feel we need more cooling, we'll tee into that line and put a second slave, a second.
That's why
evaporator.
keeping it independent. Yeah.
And then in the hulls here, we can do the same thing. We can have. I would recommend you need 2 evaporators in each hull.
Okay.
Off the same line. So.
Because you have a head up there, which cooling the head's important, especially when people get sick or one thing or another.
Yeah.
But we'll have.
Where's the head?
The head was direct opposite of you on the other pontoon.
Okay.
And we'll go back and look at that.
All right. Now, just how many heads on the boat? Just the one?
That one head, and then there'll be a captain's head.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
But that head can be, I can have a vent. I'll have stuff like that.
The captain doesn't matter on this ship.
The captain.
If you're the crew, you live in squalor in the smallest, tightest area. I think we could build something in here. Worst case is we may have to come out another couple of inches.
Actually, with this shelf being so stable,
we
could actually take that shelf off and rebuild that whole area to make it fit.
you could come up from here and just box in
an area. Yeah.
An area. The only thing to be to watch is we want to, and it's not hard to do, we'd want to use foam or something and seal off a bit of an area back here so we can have our air recirculation from the room coming into this area, into the back of the evaporator box and blowing out into the room.
Okay, so you need to have air behind the evaporator. It has to have and you want it to be as much ambient air as you can.
Yeah, you don't want to be sucking the air from areas where you don't want to cool, because it tends to have a little bit more of an odor to it, and
also the regular blower type air conditioners that, like we showed at the very beginning of the video. Okay, those type take the air from wherever container you have those in. Yeah. Like in that case, it's underneath the deck, and who knows what it smells like.
And it does have there is a vent, a grill there that is, you're pulling the air in from the salon.
Yeah.
But the other inefficient thing about that is it's pulling the air in right off the floor. That's where the cold air sinks. But where you want the air conditioning to be drawing air from quite often is up high. Anywhere up high is where the heat builds up. If you don't do something to remove that heat, you could be freezing cold from the from the waist down and sweating from the waist up. And it's just a matter of thinking about somehow getting this hot air, which is what you want to cool, to the evaporator and cooled, then you blow the cold
So
air
you
back
put the
out.
evaporator as high as you can in the cabin.
Typically, yeah.
And then you're taking the air behind the evaporator
Yeah.
and running it through.
So, you know, in a situation like this, we could, you know,
I like the
over
idea
here
of
we
building
can-
something. I like the
yeah.
idea of building something out. I think we're going to build it out into the room.
And then I can block off any, you know, areas where we're going to be drawing a bunch of air in from strange places. And you have a grill, you're drawing the hot air relatively in high, in behind the evaporator, and then blowing the cold air out.
Yeah.
And this, again, and the size of compartments we have here, it's just going to be, it's going to get real cold real quick.
Cold, quick.
So in this situation, yeah, you'd have, I would put an evaporator in here because this is a sleeping quarter, or, you know, I'm just trying to think, it might even be better.
Here's. I don't think that's big enough. That's not like the. It's not like the aft berth.
Yeah.
I think that if anything, here blowing that way, so
Yeah.
that if I put it over here in this corner, okay, which I'm thinking about seriously with your discussion is we put it in there so you have circulation coming through here. You have it from the cabin also.
Yeah.
You also have it. It's blowing towards that hatch to go to the captain. So if there's nobody in the midship berth, I can lay this open and we can cool that area.
Yeah.
Or if I put some type of muffin fan or vent on that wall that gives it the privacy so that it will suck it on in further in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but still be taking enough air volume here. I like this idea.
Yeah.
I think this is a better use of the recirculation of the air.
Yeah, and up in that corner, it's not blocking getting in past the hatch. And, you know, we have two different types of evaporators that we can supply currently, and we can build anything you need, basically. But we have our truck style, which is meant to be a externally mounted free-blowing evaporator, and then we have the boat style, which is an all-aluminum that's designed to be built into a compartment.
Okay.
And flush mounted.
And we'll have on the website both
Yeah.
pictures of it.
And there's you know, every boat's different, so there's pros and cons of each. You know, you get a $6 million carbon fiber 60-foot catamaran, you're probably going to want to build them in.
Yeah. And make them look pretty.
Yeah, and then, you know, the face of it you can cover in the material you're using in the boat. You could put a wood grain finish on it. You can do whatever you want with it, and that's the flexibility of it. And then there's other situations like this where, yeah, just an externally mounted evaporator would be great. And, you know, with the compartment here, the hoses will disappear almost immediately. You won't even see them. And you're cooling.
Pretty sure that this is hollow behind here, and it is. And I'm really convinced that I've got a total wire access because of all my navigation station being there. So I think that if both evaporators, the evaporator is going to be up in the salon, putting it over here on the starboard side and bringing it down there would be really good.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's lots of ways to do it.
Well, let me get you out of this non-air conditioned heated compartment.
It's actually not bad in here so far this morning.
You know, we're in marathon, so people that we want to have come down and volunteer. You have any opinion? Get down here. It's nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Yeah.